Hello and welcome. This is the Marketplace, your authoritative business place here in Ghana. On the program today, we're going to analyze the market, look at the trends, and how things are actually going to affect your investments here in Ghana. On the program today, we're actually continuing looking at the implications of the monetary policy rate here in Ghana and its impact on your investment. All these and more we're looking at here. We'll be touching base with a professor and an economist to give us some perspective on that, as for 4 consecutive times, the central bank has maintained the policy rate here in Ghana. I'll be looking at that in detail, plus other stories here on the Marketplace. You can keep your comments and others coming in. Our Twitter handle is Joy Business GH, and on Facebook, it is Joy Business. For more business stories, you can also log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is John Kojo Anwaku. Marketplace returns shortly after this break. You're welcome back. And in our first story, the National Communications Authority so far is actually saying they are satisfied with the quality of calls and internet protocol services that is actually coming in, to the extent where they're even suggesting that now customers can actually order things online to the satisfaction of these corporate entities and all. Let's have this.
In fact, we as regulators are constantly monitoring the network space, the service providers, the people who provide services to the consumers, to make sure that they are always giving quality service. And I'm sure you will agree with me that, you know, the service quality has improved over the years because of the stringent measures that the NCA has taken to make sure that the quality is really improved by all the various works that we've done in terms of making sure that the various technologies are employed to deliver proper service to the consumer. You know, we've been giving fines. We've been giving out fines. For example, we're giving fines out to MTN, to Vodafone, to Airtel, you know, for not doing certain things in certain areas. For example, they have certain obligations, and if they don't meet those obligations, it affects the consumer. And because of that, we fine them for those things. Yes. You know, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, in the coming years, we'll give fines so long as they don't meet the obligations they're supposed to meet.
What obligation, for example, you want them to make?
Like, for example, call setup time. For example, you should have a minimum number of milliseconds to which the call setup time should be done. Then we also have congestion on the network. If your congestion goes beyond a certain threshold, we'll make sure that we'll fine you for those kind of things. So we are constantly measuring those kind of performance issues on the network.
Meanwhile, the National Communications Authority, NCA, is asking mobile service operators to consider partnering software developers to fully exploit emerging social media technologies. Some operators, earlier this year advocated the ban on internal calls, mainly done via social media platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, among others. This, according to them, because such calls are adversely impacting their revenues, a position rejected by subscribers. Speaking to Joy Business, NCA's Consumer and Corporate Affairs Director Nana Dufie-Bedu said the interest of subscribers would remain paramount in any decision taking in the issue.
I think it's very necessary for us to know that the use of technology is increasing. Day in, day out, there are new apps and new technologies for people to use to communicate. And some of these apps that people use are WhatsApp, Viber, Tango, Facebook, Skype, and the rest. Of course, it will have an impact on traditional sources of communication. But that's why the NCA, earlier on this year, open discussions for us to see how the traditional media or our operators can work together with these app developers to be able to use these apps to also increase their revenues. We also don't want consumers to be shortchanged. The aim of regulations or the aim of ICT is to create an end benefit or an environment where consumers are able to communicate effectively to each other and at minimum cost. So it's an opportunity for us to discuss together, see how the traditional telcos can together partner with these app developers for their own mutual benefits.
And your deliberations with them, has it been fruitful, finding innovative ways in utilizing those platforms?
Oh yes, it's been very fruitful. Earlier on this year, we had a digital family forum, and this was one of the key topics that we discussed. It was very, very useful. We had presentations from all sides, from the Wireless Association Service Providers of Ghana, who are basically made up of these app developers. We had presentations from the telcos and from the NCA, even looking at how we can together bring these different players together for the benefit of consumers. It's an ongoing situation. We are also learning from developed markets to see how they are also using these social media to correlate or live together with the traditional telecom providers for the benefit of consumers.
The Consumer Protection Agency is calling on Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission (PRC) to demand a timetable for the current load shedding and the timelines with immediate effect. Speaking to Joy Business at a news conference in Accra, Chief Executive Officer of CPA, Kofi Kapito, noted that the absence of timetable on the ongoing load shedding is crippling industries and residential users.
But what I'm saying is, as head of Consumer Protection Agency, it is also my right, also demand for a timetable. So if he has anything to tell Ghanaians, he should let us see that those efforts are being put in place. Look, the fact that somebody says it's too early, I don't buy that excuse. What is too early about this? What is too early about this? The challenge has been with us for some time now. It went off a little bit. It has reared its head again. So what is this early thing? Even when we were in the challenges back then, there was a timetable, and sometimes you were supposed to go off, you didn't go off. So the timetable makes it a lot easier. If my light doesn't go off, I will consider it as a bonus. But if I know for a fact that Friday I am scheduled to go off, whatever I have to do in terms of electricity, whether ironing my clothes or making sure I prepare my food and everything, I'll do it the day before, so that on that day I will not expect electricity or power.
The Ashanti Regional Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has exceeded its revenue target for the year in the first 6 months. The unprecedented feat saw the command collect over 305 million Ghana cedis between January and June, as against the year's target of 286 million Ghana cedis. So, what could have accounted for these, especially when the region has no port or border post, not to talk of the recent smuggling activities in the region? Kwesi Ahiapo is the regional commander and assistant commissioner.
We have met the target, but we have given this dear land of our birth or our death. We are giving you Jara another 100% collection. That salute. That yes, I have achieved my mission. I have achieved my vision. I have met the targets I've set for myself. Yeah, and thank God. I should think that the good Lord and my bosses have seen and appreciated whatever they brought me here to do. Mind you, they brought me as an acting assistant commissioner in charge. I'm happy to tell you, I have been confirmed. In fact, before, I don't know whether the revenue figures, we send them every week. So they were seeing the figures and they were not believing, but the figures you can see, hard copy. Yeah. So in fact, I don't know, somehow they called me on the 21st of June and took me through, and by the time I should start talking about meeting and exceeding, telling them I have been confirmed.
In other stories, the chairman of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Dr. Sam Mensah, is urging the investing public to have confidence in the Ghanaian stock market as management takes steps to position the exchange to be more competitive and efficient on the continent. He said the new law taxing capital gains, coupled with the energy challenges affected most listed equities, especially the manufacturing stocks. But the chairman is optimistic the market can achieve a lot more within the current structures.
Depository with the Central Securities Depository, so we have only one depository in Ghana. We've created a Ghana fixed income market, which is also a new phenomenon, a new development on the exchange. We've listed Ghana Euro bonds on the Ghana Stock Exchange. All this happening recently. And then very importantly, we have also created the Ghana Alternative Exchange, which is the GAX, which now has 4 listings. And that has made it possible for us to bring on, strengthen the corporate bond market. As you know, a number of corporates have recently listed bonds on the market, ASN and a few others, Izue and so forth. So I think it's been 5 years of very major interventions, very positive interventions. But I think we've done very good things, achieved our targets and actually exceeded our targets. This is through the hard work of course, the council as well as the exchange management and employees. Yeah. A few years ago, there was a comprehensive consultancy report which created a roadmap for demutualizing the exchange. And currently, the exchange has put together a committee, an expert committee, to look at that report and prepare a step-by-step implementation plan for demutualization. I think the committee is just about to start meeting. And so we expect that there'll be some significant progress in demutualization in the next year or so. Most markets are becoming demutualized, and so that is a natural direction for Ghana to go, especially as its regional counterparts, Nigerian Stock Exchange as well as BRVM are on the same path. Actually, BRVM is already demutualized. So Ghana and Nigeria are also following the same direction. Now that the committee has started its work, I think that we should see relatively quick progress.
Now, in our major story for the day, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana yesterday kept its lending rate unchanged, again at 26%. This is about the 3rd time since November last year that the rate has been maintained. Now, we want to explore the implications on investment and banking services. And to join us to actually do this is Professor Boakpin, who is from the University of Ghana Business School, on the line to help us put actually this in perspective and also look at the implications of the policy rate on investment and banking in general. Also the effect on our savings and credit policies here and there. So we'll be looking at this with Professor Boakpin. You're welcome to the Marketplace, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Good. Prof, yesterday, for 4 consecutive times, the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee decided to maintain the rate, just as a lot of economists projected and predicted. What does it mean to the investing community?
I think that significantly not much has changed. Even though finance, we have been told that some level of progress has been made. I think this hasn't translated to the other indicators of the economy, or probably the way the Bank of Ghana looked at the data. Once the rate has been maintained, then we do not expect that significant movement along the other rates that we feed from the policy rate would actually take place. That's the issue. So, for instance, we also have to look at it in terms of how this even affects lending rates. The impact is not direct. There is no direct policy for the policy rate in the formula that has been approved for determining banks' base rates in this country. Okay, so what is further influencing the lending rate in Ghana is more of the treasury bill rate. So if the policy rate is kept at 26%, and then the treasury bill rate, for instance, comes down because government borrows less, for instance, then we find lending rate actually coming down when the policy rate is actually up there. And currently, that is what we are seeing. We are seeing a little bit of misalignment with the rate. You see the treasury bill rate coming down slightly. You also see that interbank rate, okay, is a little lower than the policy rate that is hanging up there. That is why some of us felt that the appropriate thing for the central bank to to have done was to lower the policy rate marginally.
Okay.
To signal to the market that things are easing a bit, and it was not as it was in November last year, where the rate was increased 6%.
Okay, so with the treasury bill rate going down a bit and the interbank also slowing marginally, is it not time to also see interest rates also go down? So businesses, you and I, who take these personal loans and others, would also have some respite in these kind of rates coming down, because for 4 consecutive times, I think it's just not for nothing. I'm sure it must have some implications in your pocket and see some turnaround for some companies here in Ghana.
Precisely, and that is where the central bank missed it. Do you know why?
Why? Tell us.
Once these rates have come down slightly, you need to lower the policy rate. When the central bank, keep the policy rate at 26%, what you are saying is that things are not right for rates actually to come down. So universal banks themselves will not necessarily lower the rate, okay, because the way they look at it should be in line with the way the central bank also sees the future. If the central bank says that the threat of inflation is still very high, and for that reason, we need to maintain the policy rate to contain the threat of inflation, then you expect that financial institutions would also adopt the same attitude, and therefore there will be no greater incentive to actually lower interest rates significantly. So that is what we are seeing in the market. But you also have to understand that apart from the policy rate influencing the other rates, especially the money market rate, we have not seen that impact, okay, that much in our part of the world. Okay. Unlike other developed countries where, the LIBOR, whether the US LIBOR or the euro or the pound or whatever, moves the key interest rate. That is not the case in Ghana here. And I think that we have to act quite fast and make sure that we are able to smoothen out these imbalances in those rates and ensure that some kind of in tandem, they move in tandem with the development in the economy. So we cannot, at this stage, we cannot blame the banks necessarily for keeping rates particularly high, because the central bank hasn't had that incentive either to lower their rates.
Okay, so what you're suggesting is that the confidence level in the market is not as high. It's not as high as we are being made to believe. Probably we need to monitor it quiet for a while before we can actually see that. Until and unless these rates start coming down, then all banks would want to go by the central bank's own suggestions and adjustments to the economy. So in a nutshell, you're saying that customers, you and I, corporates and everybody should not be so optimistic to the effect that interest rates are going to come down.
It doesn't look that likely now.
Okay, we thank you very much, Professor Boakpin there from the University of Ghana Business School, there, giving us some perspective, you and I, as to what exactly we should be expecting after yesterday's announcement of the 26% maintenance of the policy rate here in Ghana. We are taking a short commercial break. Marketplace returns after. You're welcome back. And the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Petroleum Company, Alex Mould, has been speaking about the new metering system installed on the new FPSO John Evans Atta Mills. The metering system on the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah became faulty only a while after it was installed on the vessel, sparking some controversy. But during a recent visit offshore on the upcoming 10 field, Alex Mould told correspondent George Biafi that every drop of oil will be accounted for on the field.
At all times, you have the customs officers here, you have representatives of the partners and government here to ensure that the vessel is offloaded, and there's also a check done on the vessel to see how much fuel the crude oil the vessel also actually receives. So you have a dual metering system, one on this ship with 3 different meters, also a master meter for us to validate all the various meters that we're using. So the ultrasonic meters, and then you have a much better meter as the master meter, which is only used when we are testing the ultrasonic meters.
Now, the 4G service provider Busy, the headline sponsor of the forum, has been outlining Joy Business to the extent to which technology is changing the face of agriculture. The marketing director, Linda Na, says mobile technology is helping farmers find markets online.
With technology or with speed and reliable 4G internet connectivity, you should be able to conduct your agri-business from the comfort of your home or from your office, or irrespective of where you find yourself. Even in terms of payment, even in terms of export and import, you can easily sell your products. You can easily find markets for your product. You can put whatever you have, whether it is foodstuff, whatever kind of agri-business you find yourself in. Basically, technology has become the enabler, and the enabler for businesses to basically grow, bringing people together, bringing new technology together, enhancing the way we go about our businesses, and also facilitating partnership.
Meanwhile, the role of technology in agribusiness will be one of the issues up for discussion at the maiden edition of the Joy Business Busy Talk, which comes off today at the Alisa Hotel. Ghana still has a long way to go in adopting the appropriate technologies to boost agricultural production. Salom Brantier of M-Pedigree will be addressing this subject ahead of the talk. He has been trying to diagnose the problem.
I believe that every stakeholder in the agri sector, especially the farmers themselves, the government, and the providers, private sector providers who have some of these solutions, have not been aggressive enough in dealing with the problems that agriculture has been facing. Well, first of all, because farmers are very used to cultural practices that are very archaic, and also because most of the private sector people have not really aggressively marketed the newer options to farmers, and therefore farmers have stuck to their old ways for so long. In fact, farming today is almost like farming 100 years ago. There has been very little difference in the kind of tools that are used, in the kinds of additions that are made to the soil, etc. It is also a bit of a problem on the government side, because even statistics show that most of government's expenditure this year, budgeted expenditure on agriculture, has been on poverty reduction instead of concentrating on things like increase in technical skills and the procurement of better seedlings and things like that. So it means that the shift of focus has been on agriculture as a poverty alleviation tool instead of as an income generation tool. It will take a concerted effort from not only the government, but a decentralization of some of the responsibilities that the Ministry of Agri has, and a mixture of partnerships with private sector individuals and players who want to go into mechanized commercial farming to come together and find productive ways in which to advance it, because it is not a one-man or a one-direction driven activity. It has to involve quite a lot of people, and it involves a lot of deep and very exploratory education to ensure that agricultural production can meet any of the kinds of targets that the West has. Because in fact, even in East Africa, it has been done quite successfully. So average yields of, let's say, a maize farm in East Africa are much, much more than average yields of the same kind of maize farm in West Africa, because they have been much more focused on farmer engagement than we have.
Very interesting subject there up for discussion at the Alisa Hotel this evening, exactly 5 p.m. So get seated by 4 so the discussion will actually continue. And don't forget, we are picking it live here on Joy News. It's also be online and also on radio. This is Joy Business Busy Collaboration, big time business program there. Just get in there, because agribusiness is really the way to go. So that'll be it for the marketplace here. My name is John Kojo Amwakoba. You can keep your words and others coming in terms of your feedback and others. Our Twitter handle is Joy Business GH, and on Facebook it is Joy Business. For more business stories, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a very wonderful afternoon. Let's all meet there at Alisa at 5. Have a good afternoon.